The following program is sponsored in part by To a Woman's Heart. The thoughts and views expressed by the following production don't necessarily reflect those of the network or any sponsors. Rainbow Room Publishing Live, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, family. It's your boy EP here with follow-up to testimony that I did last week. Dropped last Wednesday. Dropped this. There's a lot going on. Racing towards a break. But we're going to title this Testimonies and Trademarks. Thank you, Jesus. So I talked a little bit about a business concern situations that I was not worried about, but God was something that he took care of, that was already done, already taken care of. And let's just say that I had a number of reasons this week to say, ooh, yeah, you got to share this, because even though it doesn't necessarily shine in the light you would like to shine outside of what God it does possibly help somebody else. So I'm trying to keep this short. For anybody that knows me, I'm more of a circular storyteller versus a linear storyteller, but we're going to try to keep it in a straight line. All right, so let's back up a bit. This is 2024. I started the company in 2011. Rainbow Room Publishing. 11/12/2011, right? And so over time, as the need was there, and when I saw the money, and here's a lesson for somebody else, don't start spending a whole lot of money, in my opinion, on LLCs, trademarks, and all of that registration, unless you see what the company is going to. I ain't going to necessarily say the initial fees, but you have to make those things. Your company is not in a space where it is going to be paying for that. I just don't necessarily recommend it, whether you have money than I did when I started out. But, you know, go. And so for 10 years or so, out of 13, I was operating without an LLC, without a trade. And for anybody that needs to know, LLC is like all the things that makes your company official with the government, different things. And in my case, it's for-profit, so I don't know if it's an LLC, not-for-profit. I can follow up with what I learned about that when I work on a not-for-profit that's coming up. But at the end, the trademark is your logo. So, which for me would be Rainbow Publishing, with the colors, with the lights flashing across it, the whole shebang. If I do this right, it'll be like down here, like standard. And so I've talked about this story for a while now, but the name has a lot of significance. It was given to me. It was set up before I knew that I needed a name for a company, before I knew I needed a company. Oh, gosh, even before the book was done. But at any rate, so it came to be at that point, 11/12/2011. And about 3 years ago today, I was like, yeah, well, not today, but 3 years ago, I was like, oh, okay, God, you're showing me all these different things where, you know, everything is manifesting, the company is growing, and we're official in so many capacities, so we need to have paperwork done, especially when it gets in this case to the trademark, basically nobody in it, but still the name, logo, you know, that sort of thing. And so I did all of that about 3 years ago. LLC went through perfectly. But the trademark, there was some back and forth about what I need to submit. I had to admit it wasn't, in my opinion, communicated to me very plainly. And lesson number 2, there's an acronym. It's called H.A.L.T. H as in, what is it? Hungry. H as in hungry, A as in angry, L as in lonely, T as in tired. H.A.L.T. I've been working on this. Y'all pray for me on this. I have not always been good about taking my breaks. When I get into these projects, the artistic side of me just kind of really takes over, and everything else is backseat. including all of the very logical stuff that says, hey, you're one person, you can't do all of this all yesterday. You got to take your time. And didn't do that very well. And so the season after applying for the trademark, I was in one of those spaces where I got, basically, I'm sorry, I should explain this. The acronym basically is saying to us, never get too hungry, never get too angry, never get too lonely, never get too tired. In my case, it was very much the too tired, with the idea being that just even physically, before you get to emotional, psychological, spiritual, and all of that, when you are in any of those states, your brain chemistry is off. You may as well be drunk. You may as well be high or doing all of these other things that distorts your perception of things and elevates or depresses your mood and all of that. Same thing happens biochemically in your brain if you are in any of those states. And so I was in one of those states, and in that process of filling out the trademark, I was advised multiple times, and I responded multiple times to what they wanted, and was actually working with some really good people. So I really can't say that, you know, the office, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, did anything wrong in that respect. But basically, one of the more final, say, notifications came at a point when I was too tired. And when I say too tired, I mean too tired to care. I can go into a lot of detail about that. Anybody that's been following this, you know this. If not, if you're new, there are other videos connected to this. But I deal with depression. Don't have it, don't claim it, deal with it. And when I say deal with it, don't let it just take me. But in that season, I was very tired. I was very depleted because I was not operating the way that I was supposed to operate. Basically, I overextended myself. Another lesson. And so when it came time to correct this matter, I was just like, I was about to use a word. I could care less. And I didn't. I was like, Lord, look, I don't care about this company right now. I'm tired. And so I let the application go into a status that they call being abandoned. Now, the whole time you're doing this whole process, this education piece, you're going to have all these people emailing you, and I saw it because you're doing something that's a very public record. You're going to have all these people emailing you from these different companies about, you know, somehow helping you, servicing you with your trademark. I'm going to go with what the official just told me the other day. All of them are scams. It wasn't my initial impression, but if you're not going to the government for this, I would just be very skeptical, and I would just advise you to go to the U.S. Department of Patent and Trademark Office. I'll try to make sure I put the link in here and show you what the website looks like. That's important. And so it was just one of the things I was like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. I finally get out of this funk, this depression, what have you. And, of course, I got through all of that, and I was like, okay, I was mapping out, you know, very logically, very fiscally conscious when I was going to pay these different things, get things back in order, and all of that. And long story short, I got one of those emails at a time that I was super busy. And basically, let me put it in full context. I thought this was the government's office reaching out to me, basically saying that someone else is attempting to buy your trade. This is a little over a week ago. You know, you had so many days to take action, something like that. And in the midst of all that stuff I'm doing, which was mistake number 3, I reached out. I should have kind of waited, but it panicked, much like these scammers would do. And so I reached out, and we had this whole conversation that just the whole time I was having the conversation, even my spirit, the Holy Spirit was just like, this don't make no sense. You're telling me that this one piece of information is missing, and I can't just submit it, and what I paid, I'll put the numbers out there. What I paid $250 to accomplish, you're now telling me that a mistake or a lapse on my part is not going to cost me $1,385. Yeah, something like that. $1,300, $1,385. And I was like, okay. Well, hung up the phone. I was just like, not something I can deal with right now. God's spirit, His peace. I talked about it before. It's just all over me. And I'm going to do this and see if I can get us back in the scene. I just like it. So yeah, I was like, okay. And if I remember correctly, it was in the midst of me just being tired, having to do a lot of other stuff. This was just not on the list for that day, that week, this month, whatever. It was going to be taken care of by February in my head before messages. So, then it turned into God even telling me, hey, go lay down. Don't even think about this. And just a snapshot of what I talked about last week. It was like any time before I could think about it, before the issue to come up, before I saw the emails that followed, the phone calls that follow, before I could even get into the whole thing of, oh, I can probably borrow this place, that place. You know, I just kept saying, worry about this. Just very much like the Bible says that Satan, the devil, the opposition, the negativity in the universe, the enemy, inner me, and the enemy. All those things that just want to push against your efforts and your positivity and the things of God. You know, before any of that could kind of come up, you know, God was like, hey, do you remember that time you had to use an insurance claim for your second book? Do you remember that time that everybody gave you grace after you threw this huge casino party and you came away at the end of it and you weren't able to pay everybody that night, which was already late in comparison to what you promised, and they all gave you another week, and you paid all of them in a week, and you lived off of what you made on books that you gave them your whole check. That same guy said, child, listen. This is foolishness. Don't be bothered with it. You got some other stuff to do. And there was a part of me, the enemy and the enemy, that was just like, hey, you're still using his name. You just got an awesome t-shirt, just made an awesome ad about it that has his name. In less than 7 days, somebody might take it. And but God and my spirit just kept saying it. And I'm going to tell you, like I said before, I deal with depression. Deal with it. Don't give in to it. At this time, I was in all of the things here. There's some things I would use there, but I'm not going to use it. In a very just submissive position. I'm just giving over to the fear. And, you know, even my spirit just kept saying, no, this is your name. God gave you this name. So it went from God telling me the things that I need to hear to the spirit on the inside, the divinity on the inside saying, baby, this is good. This is all right. This is setting up for an amazing story. And because you're not going to live in shame, you're going to tell people your mistakes and you're going to help somebody not make these mistakes. So, trying to wrap this up because I'm already over 10 minutes. That's what I'm fast. Not just a spiritual thing. But, so ultimately, I started looking at some things. And even as I was looking at some things, my spirit was just like, why are you looking at that? God said it's taken care of, but you do it. And you know, that part of you, I'm going to describe it to just being a man in the Western Hemisphere. We're taught to control everything. A man that has learned the Bible and learned some things wrong. We're taught to control and name everything, every situation. But the Bible actually teaches us to give it all to God. Sorry for another time. I'll let those who do it best do it themselves. But, so, long story short, I kept looking at this situation, right? When the spirit either said, hey, you can go look at this website, you can go look at this email, follow up, and ask an email certain things. And it was in that process that I started to hear the spirit remind me of all those different things that I see all the time that are a sign of how scammers operate. And one of those things being that they give you the sense of urgency. Like, if you don't operate right now, the world is going to hate you. And then it was then that I forgot how it happened. And I just finally, you know, the Bible talks about how God will, you know, open your eyes and like see certain things that you didn't necessarily see. And I wasn't paying attention to the fact that where this company I'm trying to pass to something like TRADEMARK, something of USA or something, was not USPTO, the United States Office or United States Patent and Trademark Office. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so all of the stuff is just like tumbling down. All of the stuff that the stronghold of fear and everything that was trying to grab me. And so, do some more investigation in less than 48 hours. Because we're going to wrap this up. I talked to the real people, confirmed what was what, confirmed the silly thing that could have been done so long ago. But I see now that God was like, you need this testimony for other people. It's just going to serve not only them, but you to tell us. However he chooses to do it, that's his business. So within 48 hours, I was able to say, hey, I'm on the phone with people, got off the phone with people, got abundance of information, including how to report the scammers. Filled out the application where I didn't think I had the funds. Let's just say that the 13, whatever I said before, because it don't even really matter, was BS. That number went down back to the $250 that I paid the first time. So ultimately, the grace of God allowed me to only have to pay for this thing again. And then on top of that grace and that mercy, let's talk about the fact that compensation I knew was coming next week. Well, okay, so it would be this week. Let's say the 28th. When I looked and had to do some other things, this is how God works. While I was taking care of other business and letting him do what he do, I looked up and said, oh, the compensation comes on the 22nd. The trademark. I can pay for that now. So I ultimately did everything, paid for everything, shot a screenshot, sent that email to the scammers and explained to them this has been resolved. You and whoever you supposedly working with, because we still don't believe somebody was trying to buy it at that point, need to cease all actions. And this is my name and so many respects. And ready to fight. Here we are, ready to go. I got my back. I advise you to stop and don't even reach out to me. We are about 3-4 days later. I heard them. At the end of the table was on the weekend. Last week was a late Friday. Just all of that to say, one, don't get too tired. Two, that's always to be on top of your business. 3, wherever you are lacking wisdom on how to move on a certain thing, seek God on it. 4, God will give you peace that surpasses all understanding. When I tell you I laughed at the situation throughout the week more than I was mad at it. I feel like there's another one to give. Let's just say I learned a lot of lessons. Oh, I'll give you this one. Everything that we go through is not just for us. Sometimes it's for somebody else. And that is not always the greatest sense of comfort, but take comfort in where you come. That somebody is looking at you that you don't even know, looking at how you move, how you operate, how you make it. Because somebody knows the things you go through. Like, I look at other authors, other creative professionals especially, and I can see, and I can feel, despite smiling in the beautiful ads, there's a lot of work went into this, there's some blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and I'm just saying that somebody is looking at you, and they're looking at how you move, and they need to know the lessons you can give. And that doesn't just come in the lessons of where you won, but also the lessons of where you made mistakes. And especially when you can then turn around and say, hey, this wasn't a mistake. The mistake is when you keep doing the same thing over and over again. There was similar to that same definition of it. It's not really a mistake if you learned something from it, if you gained something from it. And so in this case, I gained some knowledge that I can give to you. Right? So take that, do with it what you will, and that's another one that we hope y'all enjoy it. And like I said, I'm gonna do my best to have everything in the captions, that sort of thing, so that anybody that is in a very similar matter, you know exactly who you're dealing with. Of course, you can come to Rainbow Room Publishing for assistance. Some of it being paid. We just have to work that out, see how it goes. Yeah, there you have it. This is your boy. Got us on some ears. Out of here. Here's infinite peace and blessings.